Hi my friends, welcome back to another tutorial. It has been a while and for that I apologise. Life is getting very busy lately. But anyway, here I am, another lovely painting. I'm going to paint the first one, the one with the lovely light on the left hand side of the forest. So I have my stuff set up here in the kitchen. Let me show you what I have. This is the phone that I'm using for this tutorial. The video quality is very good on this and it tends to keep its colors nice and rich. So I'm going to use my phone and I have a big canvas here behind me. This is 24 by 18. I primed it once, I gave it one coat of primer, and before I paint I'm going to actually give this a light coat of linseed oil, okay, just with some tissue. A light coat of linseed oil on its own, that'll keep the canvas nice and wet. So that's my canvas, my palette next to it there, and that's it. I'm looking forward to painting this. I think this is going to be really eye-catching. A nice splash of red. I have a big frame ready for this, so I'm going to hang it on the wall and I'll show you what it looks like then when it's hanging and framed. So I think you're going to enjoy this. Okay, so thank you so much for all your support. I really do appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying these tutorials. If you have any questions whatsoever, please just do ask. All right, just send me a message on Patreon or on Gmail. Okay, it's stephenconway12@gmail.com, and I would be more than happy to help you with any questions you have. All right, so down to painting. This is going to be exciting. A nice forest scene, a dark, moody kind of a scene with a huge splash of bright, rich red colour jumping off of the canvas. And we'll use our palette knives as well for a lot of this, so it's going to be nice and loose and nice and fun. Okay, so don't go anywhere my friends, I'll be right back in just a moment. Okay, let's crack on and have some fun with this. Okay my friends, let's do this. Now, I know on the photograph, you can see the photograph there, okay, the reference photograph. I know that's a landscape. So I'm going to squeeze this into a nice portrait. I think it might work better for the frame I have and for the wall. So it's a very tall wall, very narrow. So I'm going to do it on a portrait format. And this will give you a good idea how to take a landscape picture and turn it into a portrait format, okay? We'll keep everything the same, we just kind of squash it in just a little. So let's go. I hope you can see everything okay. I'm going to take some tissue, some linseed oil, regular linseed oil, and I'm simply going to give that a quick rub on the canvas, okay? Just here and there, just to give me a nice base to work on, a nice oily base. I don't want it too oily, so I'm just really sparing this, okay? Just a very light coat, because especially with a big canvas like this, it's nice to have something just to help move the paint around, that's all, and help the paint go further as well. So it's just very loose coat of linseed oil. You don't have to go absolutely crazy with this, and you'll see what I mean now when I start painting, okay? How it gets nice and smooth as I paint along. Okay, so let me pop this over there, out of the way. I'll tell you what colours I have. I have titanium white, Naples yellow, cadmium yellow pale, alizarin crimson, cadmium red, some lamp black, burnt umber and phthalo blue. I think that's all I'm going to need for this tutorial. Now, I'm just double checking my camera. Okay, we are good. We are recording. Let's have a bit of fun. I'm going to take a nice big brush. Alright, I have a number 9 flat. A nice soft synthetic flat brush. And I'm going to roll up my sleeves. And the first thing I'm going to do is, I'm just going to take a small brush, pointy brush, and let's just draw 1 or 2 reference lines, okay? Just some burnt umber or any dark colour that you have. Okay, so I'm going to go up slightly higher to balance the painting out nicely. I'm going to go up here with the land, and I'm going to kind of come down like that. Okay, and I'm just going to mark out the footpath, okay? So I'm going to come down kind of like this at an angle of the footpath, and I'm going to come over, say, around here, and kind of taper off. So now we have a nice perspective going into the painting, and it's just going to disappear off into the distance. Okay, there we go. And we also have a nice bed of red leaves and foliage and flowers going across there like that. I think that's all we need to do. That's it, nice and simple. Okay, let's go, let's have a bit of fun. I'm going to dampen my brush. I'm going to pick up some thinners with this, okay? And I'm going to start with this lovely bright colour we have over here. I always like to get the bright colours in first. So I'm going to get some titanium white. Now we don't need too much thinners in this because it's nice and oily already. So only a tiny touch of thinners, okay? I'm going to take some Naples yellow, little cadmium yellow, and I'm going to get some, now I won't use crimson, it's kind of a peachy colour. I'm going to take a hint of cadmium red, okay, into that. Now I hope you can see that okay. Again, some Naples yellow, a little cadmium yellow, a nice bright, kind of a warm, peachy kind of a colour, okay? And the prominent colour in this is red, so nice and peachy. Okay, yeah, that's good, look, we'll go with that. You see how this is moving around now on the oil? And it's a very thin coat, you see? That means I'll have much easier time putting on the thicker layers over this later. So let's go right up there. Fit all of this in. Come right over. This is going to look, I hope, wonderful. Now as it comes up, it's going to start getting brighter, okay? So with the same brush, some white and some Naples yellow. I won't go with cadmium yellow, it's very rich. So I think Naples, you see that? Lovely. Lovely and bright right up there. Let's take more Naples yellow as it goes up and pop more in. That will give us a lovely, wonderful glow, I'm hoping, on the left hand side up there. I only really need to go about halfway with this because the rest of this is going to be just all foliage. Okay? Now, to create even more light, let's take a hint of cadmium yellow with the Naples and some white. Okay? Tiny amounts of each. I always like to mix small amounts as I go. Just a hint of that bright yellow, whitey yellow up there. Okay? And it almost goes into a white. Now, I really can't see this, but I like to put a little bit of a white just there. Okay, I'm going to take more Naples yellow and more white. And I do like to use Naples yellow a lot, don't I? You probably know that by now, because it's such a soft colour. It's very forgiving and it's beautiful for creating light, a soft kind of a light in a landscape. It really is. Now let me have a look at that. I'm going to go slightly darker as it comes down, okay? So more red. And a little cadmium yellow. So I'm going to go into more of a rich, warmer kind of a colour as it comes down. And I might even start using hints of crimson as well as it comes down. Now I don't want too much pink in this landscape. It's more of a rich red. So I don't want too much pink. You can see I'm using a very, very thin layer of paint, but this oil is really helping to spread the paint right across. Okay? Now, I'm going to stop just there for a moment. So we have a nice light up there, coming down, filtering down into a slightly warmer, redder colour. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do around the centre is, it's a beautiful, soft kind of grey in there. So I'm just going to give my brush a quick rub. And I'm going to make that lovely soft grey. I'm going to soften that in. So I'm going to start with some red, some cadmium red, and some white. And I'm going to take a tiny touch of black, I think. Tiny touch of black into that. That gives you a beautiful kind of a pinky grey. You see that kind of a colour? Beautiful pinky grey kind of a colour. I can see that in there. I'm going to soften it out and up. And again, we have lots of foliage coming over here, so we only need to concentrate on this section just in there, okay? Now, a little bit more grey as it comes in. So just a touch more black. And even though this is a big canvas now, we could get this done relatively quickly, alright? Because this type of a painting, it can be very loose. Then as it comes over, it cools, doesn't it? It gets much cooler. I'm going to take some phthalo blue into that and a hint of crimson. So we're going now more of a cool grey, little touch of black and some white, okay? A cool kind of a bluey grey. Does that make sense? There we are, just around there. We can soften that in, all right? And we'll give the impression of little bushes and stuff like that off in the distance as well. Now I'm going to take some white. There's a nice light in there. Okay, so what was I going to do? Oh yes, we're putting a nice warm grey. I'm actually going to take a hint of burnt umber and a hint of black and a hint of crimson, okay? And I'm going to put this lovely rich colour just around here. Now I'm going to darken slightly some over here, okay? Because it's still a little bit pastel for me. Does that make sense? Still a little bit in the pastel side, so I'm just going to darken it in a moment. But I'll just pop this little colour in here for now. And okay, let me just soften it downwards ever so gently. So I tend to start off kind of nice soft colours and then I work in my darks into them. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of the effect I like to get. So there we go. Now that's fine, alright. We're going to go back over there and just darken that ever so slightly because it's a little bit on the bright side. Now I know with the red contrast it's going to look lovely, but I just want to darken it ever so slightly. It's still a little on the bright side for me, alright. So I'm going to take some cadmium red and a little cadmium yellow and let me just have a look. That's better now, I like that. Now what I'm going to do is just imagine there's some trees off here in the distance, okay? You see, I'm just kind of scrubbing it all along, leaving it softening across and then bring it down, okay? I really want to just capture that nice richness over here in the distance. Excuse me. Let that soften right out there now. So you see, I'm picking up these lovely colours, so I'm transferring it from one colour to the other. And what I'm going to do then is, with this brush, okay, I'm just simply going to dab, 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 dab. Just creating the impression of the tips of the trees, that kind of thing. And it's sort of just disappearing off into that colour over there. Excuse me. So I'm just going to do that all the way down. This really now is only just a suggestion because I might end up softening a lot of these out later on. So we could even go up a little bit further, look. Just creating a suggestion of some foliage popping up here and there. I think that just gives it a nice effect, doesn't it? It's just simply a nice kind of a rough effect is all I want off in the distance. Now, that's fine. A couple more here and there. Just to rough up the surface, that's all. Now, and it disappears off then, you see? So it all kind of goes from one side to the other nicely, doesn't it? Okay, I'm going to just quickly wipe my brush, and while that's wet there, I want to get some tree trunks and that kind of thing in there, okay? Just while it's wet. I think it will save us a lot of time later. So a nice couple of dark tree trunks in there. Let's take a small round brush, small detail brush, and I'm going to go for a nice dark colour here. I think this black with a hint of the blue give us a nice soft grey, okay? And simply pop a couple of tree trunks off in the distance. Now I will try and make these quite nice, alright? I don't want to just pop a few random lines here and there. So let's take our time, let's get a couple of nice ones in. There's kind of mainly one or two that tends to kind of grab my attention, okay? There's just one or two nice ones in there. Pop one or two thin ones way off in the distance. Bring one or two right up as well. And we can take a bit of burnt umber as we're going with this, okay? Let's add a little touch of burnt umber into one or two of those. Now already that's looking really nice, isn't it? Bring a couple of branches off of that. Let's take a hint of the black with some thinners and let's just give them some depth. So I'm going to go nice and dark down towards the bottom of some of these, okay? Nice and dark, you see that? And then leave it simply lift off and disappear up into the lighter colour. I think that'll give us a really nice effect, won't it? And perhaps we could put one or two here. We could kind of group these ones together, couldn't we? And leave them go off at an angle. So you can see now I'm just being very, very loose with this. Okay? Really loose. And let's just bring it off up there. And bring a few in from outside as well. Don't forget that. We need a couple coming in from outside. That will tell you there's other things going on outside of the scene. And it just kind of moves your eye around a little bit. Do you understand what I mean? Couple of little flicks here and there. A lot of this will be covered by some foliage afterwards, okay? So I just want to just pop in a little suggestion of one or two off in the distance. Okay, now that will do. I might pop one or two red ones. It's a kind of a browny red. Just one or two with a hint of red, just to complement those leaves, alright? Even add a hint of red on some of them. Now you may not see this initially, but when your eye is wandering around the painting, you'll start to notice these little tiny splashes of pink going through that black. And that's going to look really nice. Okay, so I have that done, I have that done. I'm going to start moving down here maybe and getting all this finished. I think that's what I should do. Or should I leave it to the last minute? Perhaps I should leave it. That might be the wisest thing to do. I'm going to put in a hint of foliage off in the distance there. I'm going to take some red and a hint of black. A hint of crimson. And just with this very dark kind of a pink, I'm going to pop in the suggestion of some foliage off here in the distance, okay? Just little flicks with the brush, as if there's little tiny shaded areas of foliage off in the distance. You see, just little dabs of pink popping in here and there. It's just a suggestion, that's all. And I'm being very rough, you see what I mean? I'm just sort of letting the brush almost tap dance around on the canvas. Just a little here and there, okay? Not too much. That'll show up nicely later on. Right, I think we'll go on to this big, rich patch of red up here. Or should I do this? Perhaps we should do this area next. I think this area. Because I can bring my foliage down into this then, you see? So let's go and do that. Let's take some cadmium red, and I'm going to take some black. Alright, cadmium red and black. And let me take a look. Okay, I'll go with that. I'm going to fill that area in with this colour. And then I'm going to put some really nice red on top of this. I'll clean my brush, take some red with some Naples yellow, and I'm going to just soften that colour up into the one above it. You see that? So they're both almost kind of mixing together. That kind of a way. See? It's just a way of sort of blending them both together as they come across. And then as it comes across, it's getting more back into this bluey grey. So I know it looks complicated, but I'm simply just looking at the photograph and I'm seeing what colours are going where. And then simply add those colours in as you see them, okay? So a nice pinky kind of a bluey grey, a hint more blue in this. It's almost like a mauve, okay? Let's go across here with the mauve. And then again, I'm going to soften that into this colour here. I'll take a hint of burnt umber with some black and a hint of blue. As it comes down, it gets quite dark, doesn't it? Quite dark. And then a hint more of the burnt umber. So I'm simply just taking little touches of colour as I'm going along, okay? I'll take a hint of red, pop a hint of red into that. And what I'm doing then, you see, is I'm mixing the colours on the canvas. So you can see how I just popped a bit of red in there, and I'm softening the red through this darker colour we have. And that gives you lots of different hues. Pinks, browns, dark blacky reds, all that kind of thing, okay? So let me just soften it right in. And we're getting some tone and we're getting some nice contrast in the painting now as well. So nice and dark across here. Leave that, I'll leave this to last, okay? I just want to concentrate on getting a nice bright area in the centre. You see that beautiful bright mist we have in the centre? I really like that. It's a wonderful colour. So I'll take some white with some blue and I'll take a tiny touch of crimson, okay? And I'm simply going to pop that in there. I'll just come down to about there, okay, just for now. And I'm going to sort of soften it into the colours around, okay? So now it's all kind of becoming one, isn't it? And even go up into this a little as well, look, let's bring it up there. I want to retain that nice white, brighty kind of misty glow right in the centre. Let's take some white and pop a little bit of white in there. Create a nice misty centre there, look. Let's go across over into this. And again, wet on wet, so I'm picking up all the colours, you see. I'm picking up some of that pink there now and I'm picking up some of the brown. And I just want to get a nice soft misty effect over here. There we go. Okay, I'll clean my brush and I'll just leave this like that, okay? I might just pop a little hint then of white with a blue just in here, look. And that would be a nice bright area right in the middle of the forest, you see? No, I'm happy with that. I'm quite happy with that. I suppose I could start softening some of this together. I could probably just use a nice fan brush. I don't have my soft blender brush with me, so I'll just use my fan brush and I'll just soften out some of the edges, okay? You may not even notice this now, but it will make a difference. It really will. Just want it nice and soft. You can go up and down like this to create the effect of some grass, if you want. Go in circles. I just want to soften all this in together. Next, I'm going to get my bright reds down here. Okay, I think I'll go right into cadmium red, a lot of cadmium red, and a lot of cadmium yellow, and then a hint of Naples yellow, and a hint of white, okay? But they're quite orangey, aren't they? So let's take lots of cadmium yellow in this. I'll take a hint of thinners, just to thin it slightly. And let me just go and pop a few in here and there, look. Isn't that lovely? So we're getting this lovely effect of little flowers and all that kind of thing. And then we can form our walkway with this colour, you see. So going off into the distance, around the side, just like that. Going across and create different thicknesses, yes? So some are thick and some are small, okay? Now I'll take some yellow in that as it goes off in the distance. It's going to get nice and bright. So much more yellow as it goes away off there over in the distance, okay? And I really now am enjoying this. This is coming on lovely. Bit more yellow. Maybe even a bit of Naples yellow as well. Just to add a little contrast here and there. And as we come down, I'm going to start making them much more prominent, you see. So now, they're getting they're literally just blobs of colour. Okay, that's probably the easiest way of describing it. Nice little blobs of colour. Let's go right into the cadmium red. And you can see now already, the painting is going to jump out at us. I will add little touches of yellow here and there. And perhaps just kind of go with lots of small ones in between these. Because what I don't want is just have loads of blobs of colour on the front of it. I want to almost let them sort of disappear as they go off in the distance. Now I'm going to take some white into this. I'm going to pop some very bright ones just way off in the distance, as if they're really catching the light over on this side, okay? Softening it right off, letting it disappear, you see? Going off into the distance. And there we are. Now I'll clean my brush. And I'm going to take a hint of a light blue. Okay, so I'm going to take some phthalo blue with some white. And a hint of crimson, alright? And I'm just going to suggest a little touch of highlight on the footpaths down here, okay? Just a little touch. Softening it across into the bushes. And then coming out into the pathway, alright? Now this will be a completely dark colour to begin with, but I'm just going to do this area just here for now. Okay, I'll stop at that. So let's just take a look now and see how we're getting on. I'm going to have a nice shadow coming across here from a tree, so I'm not too worried about that. What I'm going to do up here is maybe just add a hint of darkness just here and there to almost sit those down and create like little bushes, that kind of thing off in the distance, okay? And I'll dab them outwards then, look, just kind of make it look like a very rough pathway. So everything now is nice and soft and smooth. You can pull them out as well, look. Drag them out with the little fan brush. So it's all kind of merging together slowly. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's go up in the wall of this area up here because there's a lot of red up there. I'm going to clean my large brush and give it a good clean. I may have to get a lot more red on my palette in a moment, but look, we'll go with this just for now. And let's get some cadmium red, Naples yellow, okay? And some cadmium yellow as well. Let's take a look. Now bear in mind, this is all going to mix with the colours we already have, so they will lighten as we're going. Get some more cadmium yellow. So bear that in mind, okay? It's going to lighten as we're going along. So let's start putting in the line. You see the way the line of the trees is coming down like that, okay? Let's go with that for now. Let's just fill all of this in. This beautiful red. Isn't this lovely? I reckon this is going to turn out quite nice, if I'm honest. I'll take a bit of pink. We'll go with a bit of crimson in there. And go right across up there. More red again. Maybe some burnt umber. So the red and burnt umber now will give us a nice browny red, which is what I see. Okay? Simply just paint what you see, okay? That's what I say to people. Paint whatever colours you see. Let's go with some red again and pick up some yellow. Now you can see I have a chunk of yellow on my brush, and it's simply going to mix in as I paint. You see that now? It's beautiful, rich orangey colour. Let's take a bit more, and it gets nice and bright in around the centre in here. So where that light is popping through the trees, it gets nice and bright, doesn't it? You can leave a little bit of white here and there if you like. Okay. We have a nice big block of red up there. Red with some yellow. This really now is only just a filling in stage. So I'll be doing a lot of this with the palette knife in a moment, okay? And maybe the fan brush as well. But for now, I'm just kind of blocking it in with little dabs of colour here and there, you see? Okay. So I'll be coming right out further now with my pointy brush. Excuse me. Let's get some dark. Let's get some cadmium red and let's get some burnt umber. And let's go with some nice darker reds down under here, okay? Like that. And we could even get some lamp black and cadmium red with crimson as well. That'll give us a really nice, rich, dark, pinky kind of a red. Lots of crimson. I see lots of crimson in the shaded areas. And a little bit coming down like that, up there. So I know it doesn't look like much right now, but it will, okay? I promise it will. A bit more pink. I'm simply just filling in all of the colours as I see them. A little bit more vibrant red up there. Just popping it in very loosely. And remember, you see, a lot of this is going to be painted over, okay, with the palette knife and all that. So this is really just a kind of a base coat. Now I'm going to come down much lower here. I feel it needs to come down a bit more. I'm going to take some of that red with the black and I'm going to just pop it in a little bit further down, because wherever you're going to have a darker area, it's going to be slightly darker in colour, okay? And it comes down and kind of falls in, doesn't it? Comes down and it falls down like that. Using the corner of the brush, you see? Just leaving it pop down, right down into that walkway. And it comes over like this and falls down. A little bit more red again. And just keep reloading the brush, that's all. There's another big block of red here. I could probably even turn this into a two-part tutorial, but I'll try and get it finished in the one, okay? Because I know you'll be anxious to see it finished. And I will as well. I really want to see how this turns out. Now, I'm just going to soften All these colours together. You could try this now, by the way. Do try it. You could just simplify it and keep it your own. Okay? Do just keep it your own. Just, you know, add your own colours in. You could add a bit of purple in or something like that. Now, I'll stand for this because I'm very low down on the seat. Let's just go up here and pop some of that in. Alright. We're getting places. Albeit slowly, but we are getting places. Now the next thing I'm going to do is just darken in over on the right hand side, okay? Burnt umber and some red. I'm going to go really dark in here. In fact, you know what I will do? I'll take some red and some phthalo blue, and I'll even add a little touch of that rich deep purple in under here as well. I'm sure that will help. And a little bit up here. Falling down. Okay. Now, so I'm pretty happy now with what I have so far. Alright. The next thing I'm going to do, I know it looks a bit funny, but I'm going to be going over a lot of this right now with the palette knife. And you could even use the fan brush as well if you wanted, similar to what we did here. You could just do that. But I think I'll try a palette knife for a change. Let me see. I'm going to try this one. Okay, so let's hope this works. I'm going to go with some red and some cadmium yellow. I'll take a lot of that, maybe a hint of turpentine just on the knife, just to soften it out a bit. Just a little. And let's just go to town. You can see now how that's nice and rough. Nice rough effect coming out. You see? And I can bring it out here a little bit more as well. Giving us these lovely rich colours. And there's no harm popping a bit of yellow in there as well. That's absolutely fine. Let's go up here. And I mean, you could even go over what you've already done, look, and soften it right through with your palette knife. Scrape some colour onto it. That's absolutely fine as well. Get some red, pop some reds in here. And I generally like to leave the detailed work until the very end. So I'll get my fine brush and put on lots of small little leaves on this then later on, okay? That's what I generally tend to do. But I like to use a palette knife like this because it just gives you a very nice, a very rough kind of a finish. Do you know what I mean? Especially for a forest now and something like that. It really does. Let's get some of that colour over here. So, you see, this could take a while. Pop some of that bluey colour in over here as well. And I might even try a fan brush in a moment as well, just to give me some extra texture. Get some crimson. Pop a bit of crimson in over here. You can kind of see it all now coming together, can't you? The only thing about a palette knife, of course, is that you use a lot of paint. If you don't mind using a lot of paint, it's great. It's a great way to paint. If you're kind of sparing your paint and that kind of thing, then yes, do be careful. Maybe use a fan brush or something like that. But the palette knife really does give you some wonderful effects. Now, I'm going to stand back and just take a look, just to see how it's coming on. Right, let's go and try a fan brush for a change. I think the fan brush will just allow us to work that little bit quicker. So I won't need turpentine. I'm just going to take lots of paint, some red and some yellow on my brush, look, like that. And let's simply try it like this. You see what I mean? So it gives you different effects. Each tool that you use gives you different effects. You get a lot of yellow up here because I can see a very bright spot of yellow, very bright orange, shall we say, just up there. Take a bit of red, pop a little red in. I know a lot of you out there painting at the moment tend to use the fan brush a lot, so I completely understand. The fan brush is just a kind of a nice, quick, easy way of painting trees very effectively. But do try and use the palette knife if you can as well, from time to time, just from time to time, okay? Because you will see a difference. Even if you're just trying to create some texture at the end of a painting, do try it. It's honestly not that bad. So I'm going to start putting on slightly darker ones as they come out. So I'm going to mix a nice dark rich red. I'm going to take some red and some black. And I can see subtle dark bits of foliage coming out in there. Take a bit more red, perhaps one or two in under there coming down. Okay, let's pop one or two up around here. You see the bit of fan brush, it sort of creates the same kind of shapes all the way along. That's what I don't really like about the fan brush too much. It's it just repeats the same pattern, and I don't like that kind of an awful lot in my painting. I like to be very sort of rough with the brush. I'm going to go up here and I'm simply going to just go right across over this here, because I just want to try and define certain areas a little bit more. Let me just go over here and I'll go over all of this, okay? And then I'm going to come across. Now I'm going to come across over here with the fan brush, try and create little tiny amounts of leaves. Take a bit of yellow. And even a touch of Naples as well. So I'm kind of bouncing now, I'm sort of bouncing between those three colours. Naples yellow, cadmium yellow and cadmium red, okay? I'm kind of bouncing between the three of those colours as I go along. I don't like that. If you don't like something, just go over it. Just give it a couple of taps and go over it, okay? Now, it's coming on quite nice. I'm going to take some Naples yellow and cadmium red, and maybe a hint of cadmium yellow as well. I'm going to bring more of this out here, okay? And see the way I'm kind of creating the direction of the tree coming out of that foliage. I'm creating that direction. Now we're still a long way away from being finished, okay? A long way. So don't worry, we're going to really work on this and get it really nice, I promise. And let's go some Naples yellow, pop some Naples yellow on there. We also have lots of tree trunks and things like that to put in as well, so we've a lot to get through. If I don't get it done this time, I'll try and I will get it done in the second one, but I'm hoping to get it finished in one sitting. Because, you know, when you're painting, sometimes you get really into the mood and into the zone, and sometimes I don't like to stop, I just like to keep going. But if I have to stop, I'll have to stop. At that rate. Let's bring a few down, a few falling off of that. We have nice branches coming out here in a minute. Let's get some yellow, pop a little bit of yellow in there, and a little bit here. So we have nice branches falling down as well, okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is clean that very quickly. And I'm going to pop some of the dark in as well. Some brown and cadmium red. And I just want to pop some nice dark ones in. Down here, okay? And then pop another one or two in here. And a couple coming down into that light area as well. I've taken a touch of black. Okay. And one or two just out here. Again, if you see any touches of green starting to form, just pop some red over it, okay? That's all. Okay. And we can even go with some of that darker colour in under here as well. Now, I'm going to dab over this just to create lots of texture, okay? I'm going to take lots of cadmium red and a little cadmium yellow, and I'm simply just going to, because it seems to be working, doesn't it? The fan brush, it appears to be giving a nice effect, so why not just go over the tree with the fan brush like this. And I'm using the paint that I put on with the palette knife already. I'm using that paint then to move it around. Okay? There we go. Let me get some more red. And this colour now is really starting to pop off of the canvas, isn't it? It's really jumping, which is what I was trying to get. I really wanted to try and get that colour to jump off of the canvas. And I find the trick with the fan brush as well, the trick I find is to use plenty of paint, but don't go too far. You see, so just do little sections like that at a time. I'm taking a touch of thinners. So don't just go randomly around the painting like this, you know, don't go everywhere. Just keep it in little spots. And I find that has a wonderful effect. So you're painting little clumps of colour rather than just one big mass of colour. So like here for example, you see this? little clumps. And it seems to work. It really does. And that gives you different layers then as well. So it kind of pushes layers back, if you understand what I mean. I'm going to go over here, you see, look, and I'm going to give this a nice thick layer of foliage coming out. Let's go up top, let's try some up there. Rich cadmium red. So you see, the darker areas that I shaded in earlier, they're really starting to work now because they're giving us this dark behind the red. Do you understand? And they're really starting to work. We could even take some cadmium yellow on its own, just mix everything on our brush, and we could go in here with some nice bright cadmium yellow as well. That's giving us lovely complementary colours, isn't it? Okay, I suppose I'll stop and take a look and see how it's looking. I want to get some dark down here. I'll leave the fan brush for now, I think, and I will maybe go into a little bit more detail, maybe with the pointy brush. What do you think? We get some bits of detail done with the pointy brush. I know what I'm going to do actually. I'm going to pop some tree trunks in and lots of branches. I think it needs that. So let's go and have some fun with some branches. I'm going to take just black, okay? Let's get some black. You could add a touch of red, but I don't think it's going to make much difference. Maybe a touch of burnt umber, but it's still basically black, alright? It's just black. I'm going to get this big thick trunk in here first. Alright? Let's just go like that. Big thick trunk. Pop that in. You could use a thicker brush for this now if you like, okay? Let's go right up nice and high with this tree trunk here. Right up nice and high. As it goes up, I'm going to break this into two. See what I mean? Rather than just having one big thick trunk going all the way up. I think it's more interesting if it breaks into two. And I'm going to make the bottom nice and thick. Because you need to give the illusion that this tree trunk can hold all of these branches and all this foliage. If your tree trunk is too thin, what I see in a lot of paintings is the tree trunks are just really, really thin. And it just doesn't look like it can hold all the foliage. I find that's a big problem, people painting trees. So add plenty of tree trunk, don't be shy, okay? Now I'm going to come out here, turn it out, and always, remember, always wiggle your branches, okay? Always give them a lovely little wiggle. Don't just go right over in a straight line, because I've never seen a straight branch in my life. Maybe the odd one here and there, but in general, I've never seen a completely straight branch. So now it's starting to look like a tree, isn't it? And I'm going to go up here and I'm going to turn it down as well, look. because even though they're all coming out from the tree trunk, they're going to be going in different directions, you see. So I can pop one down like this, look. Go right down through the two of those. And the paint then sort of hits and misses. It goes through some of the red and it goes through some of the yellow, and it's kind of a hit and miss effect, you see. Now, let me just stand back and take a look. I'll be going to my smaller, thinner brush as well in a moment, okay? Let's give it one like that. Let's just imagine that one is broken. And we can pop one or two off of this as well. Just to create a nice silhouette in there. Okay. Now we have another one off in the distance, but slightly lighter. I'm going to take some of the blue and I'm going to just pop it in. Like that, okay? It's going to disappear up into the foliage as well. So just one or two branches coming off of that. Alright. Let's get a little black and pop a little black down the back side of this. And let's soften it through. Now all these techniques I'm doing, that I'm just keeping them nice and simple. Alright? You should be able to follow these techniques quite easily. You know, you can just see what I'm doing. I'm just keeping it nice and simple. A couple over here. Maybe go up the top one like that. And I suppose to balance it, I'll bring maybe one or two just out like that. And I'll cover these then, you see, with another layer of that nice red foliage. Okay? Next, I'm going to go to my smaller brush. My nice small pointy brush. There it is. And I'm going to go with some nice little detail for this. Nice little tiny branches, okay? So coming over here, I'm going to bring this one right across like that. Now you might find this difficult to do with the paint being wet. What I say is use lots of turpentine, okay? Don't be shy with the turpentine. You see? Just bring a couple over. And your mind will fill in the blanks. Even if I put just a little suggestion of a branch here and there, your mind will sort of fill in for you. And it will tell you, well, yes, it's a branch or it's a twig or whatever the case may be. But your mind does help out. What I'm doing really is just creating a suggestion. I'm putting a suggestion into the viewer's head of what I'm actually painting, okay? Of what it's supposed to be. So, a couple of nice little small twigs coming off of that, just out towards the end. Okay. See, that's kind of quite nice now, isn't it? I'm happy enough so far. I'm not thrilled, but you know, you're never going to be thrilled with your paintings. That's what I find. You're never going to be 100% satisfied with all of your paintings. But I'm happy. And you know what? I'm really enjoying it. And that's what's making it for me. Okay, now I'm going to put a couple across in front, as if they're kind of popping out from the foliage. Alright, so you see the way I'm going to put a couple across the front there, just like that. And let's go top and pop a few in from outside. So what I was saying earlier was bring something in from the outside. So you can see this one is coming in from outside the photograph, or the scene rather, and you can see it's just coming into this tree. So automatically now we have an extra tree coming into play. And look, we can add some highlights and all that kind of thing onto some of these in a moment. But let's just concentrate on getting just some nice little branches. And I suppose we better bring a few down in here. Just the odd one or two. If you feel more confident letting this dry, then please do, okay? Just let it dry and you can pop some branches in and then pop some more foliage in over that later, okay? Just, only do what you're comfortable with. Don't force it. I'm used to painting wet into wet like this all the time, but don't force it, okay? If you'd like to leave it dry, just let it dry for a day or two, couple of days even, whatever, and come back and add more onto it. So we've a couple of branches now, a couple of squiggly branches popping up all over the place. Look, just a couple up there. Remember, a lot of this is going to be covered with red again in a moment, so you don't have to go crazy. This is just a little suggestion of a few small branches popping down here and there. Okay, I'm going to go with very thick black and some turpentine, and I'm going to really just darken some of these, and perhaps even you could even thicken some of them as well, just to make these ones more prominent at the bottom. There we go. I'm going to darken the tree trunk. Okay, you don't have to be too fussy with this now, you don't have to be too particular. And then we'll go back to our fan brush. Let's go back and try our fan brush again, because that was quite successful, wasn't it? Let's give it a quick clean just to make sure it's nice and fresh. And I'll stand back and take a quick look. Yep, it's not bad. Go right in to cadmium red, okay? And let's go right across in front of the tree. So you see now what I'm doing? I'm creating another new layer of foliage in front of the tree. So the tree trunk now is kind of disappearing here and there into the foliage. You see that? It's very simple. Just pop some nice rich red over some of those branches. And we can go across over the branches like this. So you can see what I mean now by, a lot of this was going to be covered. That's exactly what I was talking about. So we still only have little bits of the branches showing through. And it's even picking up some of the black of the tree trunk as well, and the branches, and it's moving the black around with the red. So we're creating lovely, lovely colours, okay? We're creating lights and darks, darks and lights. right in front of the tree trunk, and particularly up in this corner as well. Look, see if we can get some yellow up here as well. Brighten that up. So, I'm going to stand back now just for a moment and take a good look at this. Okay, that's not bad now, that's quite nice. I'm going to go with some darker red just down in here. I'm going to take some cadmium red with some black, and I'm really going to go nice and dark down in here, okay? Just to give that dark canopy some depth. Try to get some nice depth down underneath here. Alright, and we could pop a little off in the distance like this. Okay, and lastly, what I'm then going to do is, with my small pointy brush, I'm going to take some rich red, and I'm going to bring, now this does come down a bit further here, doesn't it? There's kind of another thick branch that comes out here. I'm just going to sort of pop little dabs of red with my pointy knife or my pointy brush, okay? Just subtle little. Just to add little singular leaves. And that just suggests a little detail, you see. You know, the fan brush is lovely and it's all very well, but I think just to add little touches of detail with your pointy brush just catches the eye, you know what I mean? Just a few here and there, look, just like that. And pop a few on there. You see what I mean? It just really adds a little touch of that detail to the painting. It's only simply little dabs with the brush, but when you stand back and look, you can tell it's just little tiny leaves here and there. And you could even go kind of higher up, you could go one there, you know, pop a few in here and there. I'll then maybe go into a little cadmium yellow look, and I'm going to pop some bright ones in, up here, maybe some Naples yellow. Little hint of cadmium yellow here and there. And then we could get some nice dark ones as well. So let's get some black and some red. And we could pop a couple of nice little dark ones, and that will then bring out the silhouette as well, you know. So that nice brightness behind it, it's really going to catch that and draw that forward and really catch your eye. Put a nice, you got a good couple of black ones all around here, but it's just a dark red basically. But it's just suggesting shadows on some of those leaves, okay? You see little tiny flicks here and there. You see how that does it? It just kind of, it really pushes that light, it just makes it brighter even. It makes that light area much brighter. I just want to be careful not to overdo this, okay? I need to be careful because you could just overdo it completely. Now, let me take a look. Okay. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. I'm going to take some red, some Naples yellow, and a little white. And I'm going to just pop one or two little light ones in here and there. Just a few, just to catch your eye, that's all. A couple of light ones will help as well, okay? But all in all, now I really enjoyed painting this. We still have the footpaths to go and stuff like that, but that's going to be quite easy, to be honest with you. I think for me the most difficult part was getting this foliage in. It can be quite daunting when you're faced with a lot of foliage. Now I do want to add a hint of light to some of those branches, okay? Just a tiny touch of light. I'm going to take a light kind of a yellow colour, and I'm going to just pop a hint of light here and there to some of them. I think that will just help. Also bring the branches to life. Right, let's fill in this and get this done, because I am probably running out of time fairly quickly. Right. And now I will add lots more red to this later on, okay? I will. But for now I just want to crack on and get this area covered in down here. Look. We have a nice it's almost a hint of green in this colour down here, isn't it? It's like a very dark, shadowy colour. Let's take it with a Naples yellow with some phthalo blue and a little white. Fill that in. Then I'm going to take a hint of the black and a hint of Naples yellow and maybe a hint of blue. I'm going to fill this in here, nice and dark, okay? There we are. Now, and then leave it disappear. I'm softening it into the footpath, alright? A bit more blue, because blue will push it back, okay? Let's come down here and just fill all of this in for now. And we can create little shadows, alright? We can create little shadowed areas coming out. I'm going to put some burnt umber with black right down in here because it's very dark. In fact, you know what I'll do? I'll take phthalo blue and black. Put that rich dark colour down here. It is really, really black, isn't it? Really black. Particularly around here. It's very dark. And I'll show you then what I'm going to do with the path, okay? I'm going to go to my fan brush. I'm going to clean my fan brush. And I'm going to start adding some nice light into all of this with the fan brush, okay? Let's take some white, get a hint of blue, and have a hint of red, okay? I'm going to start adding texture with the fan brush, you see? Simply going across like this, left to right, very kind of rough, alright? Very rough. I'm going to take a hint more blue in that. Maybe a hint of Naples yellow, because I can see there's a hint of, it's almost like a very dark greeny blue. Now this is only the light section, okay? I'll be going over some of this with dark. But for now, look, let's just create that very rough feeling that we have. Little black, little blue. A very sort of pebble stone. It's just basically a path, isn't it? Create that little direction going up there like that, and leave it disappear off into the darker colour. Okay? You see, I'm creating the direction of that very, it's simply a forest, it's a very leafy area. And then bring it down. So you can begin to see now the footpath. It's just simply a nice rough footpath, okay? Okay, take some more white, hint more blue. And that blue is really complementing the red, isn't it? It really adds to the painting. It's a very complementary colour, red and blue. And let's just leave that dissipate and disappear out, because we just want a very rough surface, don't we? So that's kind of the basic layout done. I'm now going to add some dark. Let's get some burnt umber, phthalo blue. I'm going to create some shadow now, you see, with this. I'm creating that lovely, wonderful shadow. Just going over, letting it soften outwards. And then nice and dark towards the bottom, isn't it? Isn't it amazing what you can do with a fan brush? Now, I know I said I wasn't a huge fan of the fan brush. I'm not a particularly huge fan of the fan brush, but for rough areas like this, it's just fantastic. And I'll paint little pebbles with the pointy brush then as well, okay? Small, small pebbles. With some black. I need some black. I need to go nice and dark up here. I'm going to bring my trunk down and leave it disappear. Go and just bringing a few shadows, a few subtle shadows out across the pathway, okay? I'm sure any of you will be able to follow me along with this. I'm absolutely sure. I would love to see it when your painting is finished. I would love to, if you're going to try it of course, but I would love to see how you're getting on. Please do show me, because I'd like to know that I'm helping. Okay? I really do like to know that I'm helping with your painting. Now, I'm going to just create a little tiny bank over here. Maybe a couple of shadows coming across, just to break it up slightly. And off up in the distance, look. And soften all of that in. Just create a little rough area up there. Just so the line is not so hard. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Next I'm going to do the very similar process with some light colour. Take some white and some blue and a hint of red. Okay? And I'm going to do a very similar technique with a lighter colour, just to create some light, as if we're catching some light on the footpath, alright? So maybe couple of little lights, little pebbles, that kind of thing. And just maybe refine the shape of the footpath just that little bit more, okay? So I'm creating that line. Understand what I mean? Just a little. Now, if you don't like it, you can just soften it out a little bit. Let's just bring it up here, and perhaps it's catching some light up there as well. I'll clean my fan brush. I'll take some white and I'll go up here with some white. Look. Lovely bright spot right up there in the middle. Next I'll get my small pointy brush and I'm going to get in some little dark stones here and there. And that just gives a little touch of contrast, doesn't it? A couple of small ones. They're literally just little lumps of paint, okay? Again, your eyes will fill in the rest. Isn't that what they say? And then I'll add a little touch of light to some of those. Just a little. So you can begin to see the scene is kind of springing to life slightly. Well, slowly. It's slowly coming to life. What do you think? Now how about we put a little character in silhouette, in completely blackness. How about we put a little character walking off into the distance? And we could put him to one side, possibly. Now I'm simply going to paint a carrot, okay? That's a carrot, isn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong. A nice, simple carrot. Let's make it bigger. Alright, put a little head on the carrot. Like that. Now let's make his shoulders a little wider. Well, it could be him, it could be her. I don't know. It's just a figure walking into the distance. Now we could pop a little shadow, perhaps this way. How's that? Maybe a little light on one side. Possibly, I don't know. And I'm going to take my palette knife again. I'm going to go up and I'm going to start adding. Let's add a little more red. A little more thick red. Okay? And that will really bring the painting out. Jump the painting off of the canvas, okay? Nice, thick red paint. Put one or two down here. Maybe one or two going into the footpath, just to kind of bring it across slightly. See what I mean? Just the odd one here and there. And sure, as we have the paint on our canvas, or on our palette, we might as well use it. Isn't that right? No point in letting it go to waste. We might as well use it all. So my friends, how about that? How do you think that turned out? A nice forest scene. There's one thing for me left to do. Now I might still just tip away, okay? But for now, I think I've achieved what I wanted. And I'm pretty happy with this now, I have to say. I'm pretty happy. Let's come back and take a look. No. I'll zoom in slightly for you, okay? I might put some more thick red over this and create like another layer coming out. I could do it now actually. As in here, let's just do it, yes? So why not? Isn't that right? I might darken down there as well. Yeah, I might darken that a little. I might bring the dark across just a little bit more, just with some black. I think to create that lovely kind of moody effect in the painting. Bring it across. Let's grab some red. Let's go right into the red. And I just feel I want to brighten a nice thick layer of red right across some of the trunk, okay? Because I feel just to create another layer of red. And I'm going over in this direction, you see? So my friends, didn't this turn out quite nice now, didn't it? There we go. Job done. I hope... Oh, let me fix that, my apologies. Let me just zoom in slightly if I can. There. That's better. And I'm going to zoom in ever so slightly. There we are. A nice forest scene. I simplified it. I did try and simplify it. So I think it's a pretty nice success, isn't it? There we go. Now I might go slightly further across here with that red. It's actually higher up, you see it? It's right up. I might go right across there with a thick band of rich red on the palette knife, but I'm pretty happy with that. I must say I'm pretty happy. What I might do is pull some of them down just to give the impression of some little stalks, perhaps just to sit them down a little. Okay, just like that. That makes sense? There. Maybe pop a few dark redding just here and there on this side as well. Look, just to transfer the colour across the canvas. See what I mean? It just balances the painting. Anyway, my friends, let me turn the tripod here now, without causing too much damage. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this met your expectations. I'm very happy with this. I'll tip away with it just for a little while longer, but in general, I'm very, very happy. I think a nice splash of bright red. I'm going to frame this and stick it on my wall, and I'll show you very soon what it looks like. I must leave it dry for a while and that kind of thing. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you so much for your support and your kindness, and I will be back very soon with another tutorial on YouTube. My dear friends, God bless you all and happy painting. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much. Take care.